Live from the Lucas Oil Studios, it's Horsepower Hump Day. Because every NASCAR fan needs a push of the old bumper to get them over that hump.
Stop. Oh, my God.
Here's Kenny, Crash, Richie, and Cole. Let's get humping, boys.
Is that we are live on YouTube for our first edition of Horsepowered Hump Day. Crasher, you and I were talking about how I'm going to get confused. It's going to be Hump Day Horsepower or Horsepower Hump Day.
No. Horsepowered Hump Day, because I'm going to pull the old teacher thing out here, and it's the adjective that's describing the noun. Horsepowered is kind of an adjective that's describing Hump Day.
Hump Day. Regardless,
Seriously,
happy you guys have been able to join us here in the Freak Nation. Cole, Richard, C. Suave, Crasher, she's here, I'm here, damn it, and you're here as well. What we want to establish with this freaking show is we've had a couple of days to debrief of what transpired over the weekend for the Daytona 500, and it's going to be more NASCAR focused than anything. We know what punches tickets.
William Byron.
Well done, Cole.
People are going, oh, really? I would say they're switching off their TVs. No, they're throwing their phones over in the corner of the bed of the truck. So we're gonna catch you up on what's transpired since the Daytona 500 and spend a little time talking about Atlanta coming up. Again, I still am not used to saying Atlanta super speedway. Still doesn't make sense to me because I go back in the day when it wasn't. It was just a cookie cutter track.
Well, we need to call it something different. It's like a baby speedway. It's
New Atlanta.
But
it's not really new anymore. It's 2022. So
what does that mean?
They refer to it as New Atlanta.
Okay, so if it's 3 years old, then it's toddler Atlanta.
There we go. I like that.
Seriously, be toddler.
Infant Atlanta.
See the things that you can actually establish here with the Freak Nation. Mm-hmm. It is Horsepower Hump Day here in the Freak Nation. Again, Speed Freaks you can see every Sunday night right here on YouTube, 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern. Then again, you see the new episodes every Monday on MAV TV, 12 p.m. Eastern and Pacific. Let's get into a couple of topics that have actually developed over the last 24 hours. Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch. We're going to hear from those three coming up here in the show. But Richard C. Suave, it looks like Denny Hamlin is still the heavy topic now, given what he dropped on Actions Detrimental.
Yeah,
media.
It's amazing what has happened to Denny Hamlin over the last 2 years, since he started his Actions Detrimental podcast. He has become the voice and the driver that controls the conversation pretty much on a weekly basis. Maybe even more so passing Dale Earnhardt Jr. for that one seat when it comes to driving the conversation, because we know how important Dale Earnhardt Jr. is. And every time he says something on his podcast, he becomes super duper important. But Denny Hamlin has now surpassed Dale Earnhardt Jr. with that. So he mentioned on his podcast a 15-minute rant to start his show.
Right.
If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Actions Detrimental on YouTube. But this is the quote that really got the internet ablaze on fire. He said, and we can't play it because Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to come after us with a YouTube ban if we play any of his content.
Because it's happened.
Yes, it has.
Dale Jr. himself knocked on our freaking door and said, "You bastards do not be using my freaking content from Dirty Mo."
Exactly. So we have to quote Denny here. So here's what he said. He said, quote, "The entertainment of it has far overtaken the sport of it, and I don't know how we reverse things. You will hear all week from the media that's just super speedway racing, and it's a cop-out for those who make stupid moves. No one holds anyone accountable anymore. You chalk it up, well, it happens all the time. How about we actually call out what it is? Are the cars making us do this? Are the drivers doing this? Is a combination of both, I believe." So is Denny Hamlin, as I believe him to be, an old man yelling at the clouds because he's been in the sport for 20 years and he misses his old style of racing, or is he onto something here? That's the question.
I think he's onto something, but he is an old man yelling at a cloud. Here's the deal. We have been, and it's not just us, several media members have called NASCAR out for instances like this for at least the 25 years we've been doing Speed Freaks, 20, 30 years. So it's not like people aren't calling him out. It's just, is it falling on deaf ears? We never have liked saying, oh, that's just super speedway racing, because what I can't stand more than anything is getting a strategy to work like we saw on Sunday at this year's Daytona 500. Finally, you're back up there, 20 to go. Everything's working. You've got your drafting partner. You guys are talking. Spotters are all in a line. And then boom, a dumbass takes the entire strategy away. So no, he is onto
who's
something.
Who's the dumbass that you're referring to?
Well, which
Crasher?
wreck are we going to refer to?
Stenhouse.
Well, Stenhouse was one, and Logano collected. Yes, okay, Kyle Busch and many others. But are we talking about Cole Custer? Are we talking about Ricky Stenhouse?
Mhm.
I mean, who are we talking about? There's many instances where this happened, and it's not just this Daytona; it's every Daytona. So, yes, is Denny yelling at a cloud? Sure, in part. But I think he's absolutely onto something. And it's not like it's just this year in Daytona that has changed. I think Daytonas of the last 15 years or so have needed a change. But nobody at NASCAR seems to be listening.
Right. And I totally agree with Denny. I think that he has become such a great voice of reason for the sport. He's like a bridge between this old generation and the new generation now. And I think he's dead on in saying that NASCAR's kind of prioritized the entertainment value over the competition, which is it's wrong in my opinion. NASCAR's a sport, it's a sanctioned sport. You want to see the competition, show out there, and you want to see these things play out the way they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the reason why we're seeing these races where it's so strategy heavy and saving fuel for 85% of the race, and then going haywire at the end, is because the downforce. He mentioned it there. That's a big thing here with these new cars at the downforce, and he put it best in saying, you can't really make these moves anymore, these slingshot moves, pull out a line and try to get that position because there's so much downforce that you're getting pulled back. And unless you really have some help, then it's not going to work out. And the nature of speedway racing now is that it's a lot of selfish racing. So you don't really see those those runs get formed very much anymore. But I really admire Denny and what he's been doing with this Action Sentimental podcast.
Yep.
Like you said, Richie, Dale Jr. has been a great ambassador for the sport.
Mm-hmm.
I think Denny's voice is as integral in being a voice of reason for the competition side of things going forward, because
Denny Hamlin and reason.
Yeah, I really do think so.
Kenny Sargent and country music. None of that makes sense.
Well, that one, the latter, no, will never happen.
I'm going to play devil's advocate, and frankly, not really devil's advocate, Cole. This is my belief, and it's like Speed Freaks. For me, it's about entertainment, and that's one of the whole bitch and moan sessions that I had last Sunday night about William Byron. Fantastic, world-class driver, got his start on iRacing, and it's incredible what he and Raja Karuth have done to get in a big boy race car and freaking win. I'll give you that. But it's about freaking entertaining. And, bruh, you signed up for this. I understand that Denny Hamlin 15 years ago, without family, without kids, without a future that's really slapping him in the face, I don't know if he'd be saying the same damn thing. But because I can identify with it. I don't take the risks at yellow lights like I used to. There are mountains that I don't climb, side of mountains I don't climb, because I've got an 11-year-old daughter and I want to stick around for it.
No, that's only happened the last 2 years. Don't claim her full 11 years on this, because wasn't it just 2 years ago you broke your clavicle because of racing crazy down a mountain?
Oof.
Hey.
I'm just saying.
What the hell's going on here, man?
Shots fired.
Holy smokes.
But I digress.
But
Back to racing.
getting to Cole's point, I do empathize. I don't empathize. I've never been in a race car at 200 miles an hour with 30 other dudes behind me. I sympathize with him where he's coming from right now, because it is gnarly. And especially if you get to see this shit live. If you get to see this stuff live, you understand to the degree of what he's talking about. When they come down that front stretch and you're sitting in turn 1 at Daytona, that's bananas. When you've got 3 wide and you're inches away from each other, I get it. But why are we watching this damn thing? Granted, the Xfinity race and truck race, it wasn't that tight. I mean, the drafting nature is a little bit different. I'll give you that. But if it's entertaining, what the hell do we want, Richard?
Yeah, you're 100% onto something. And this is where Denny is the most wrong he's maybe ever been in a long time. Because last year, Denny was crushing, I thought, most of all of last year. And I agree with a lot of you with a lot of what he was saying about changing the sport and changing the short track package, et cetera, et cetera. But in this instance, guess what? You know what sports is nowadays? It's not sports. It's not. For the last 20 years, it's been the TV contracts that have made Major League Baseball what it is. It's what
we've got a freaking pitch clock in baseball. I mean, 10 years ago, we're going to have a pitch clock in baseball. All the freaking purists would have freaking sent hate mail to me.
Exactly. They're making a TV product. That's what NASCAR is doing here. They're making a TV product. That's what Formula One learned when Liberty Media bought them, they learned that, listen, we're not producing a racing show. Okay, that's not why people tune in to watch Max Verstappen win every week. We're producing a 24/7 drama. And that's what NASCAR needs to do too. And I think that's what NASCAR is kind of starting to understand. And that's how you grow a sport past your 2.5 million people that tune in every week, which is what it is. NASCAR's fan base is about 2.5 to 3 million people that tune in and watch the Cup Series every week in and week out. And they need to find a way to make what they're seeing on television more entertaining. And so that's where Denny is completely wrong. Look, the racing at super speedways has changed throughout the decades, right? It's changed from when Richard Petty was happening. We had the tandem draft about a decade ago, right? Things change in sports. That's what happens. And that's what Denny Hamlin is so wrong about. That he sounds so old hat about, oh, take me back to racing in my day. And it's, Denny, get over yourself, dude. Just because you lost doesn't mean you have to go and complain for an hour on your stinking
Well,
podcast.
the perfect comparison there is, I think NASCAR Chasm earlier had the picture of Denny Hamlin's tweet and Jimmy Johnson's tweet. Denny Hamlin's tweet, well, that sucked, right next to Jimmy Johnson. That was fun.
Yep.
So there it is right there. But it's still Jimmy Johnson's old day of racing. It's not that anymore either. Here's the deal. There needs to be a happy medium because, yes, you are exactly right. Sports has become entertainment, period, because everything comes down to the almighty dollar. That's just what it is. If you don't have ratings, companies aren't going to sponsor. If they don't sponsor, you don't have a series. That's just the bottom line truth. So somehow there has to be a happy medium. So when it comes to super speedway racing, can't we find a little more horsepower with an doable amount of downforce to keep these cars on the ground and not flying? Because that's a whole nother topic that's going on around there right now. There's got to be some other way to happen, because Cole, you nailed it when you said individual cars need to be able to pull out and have their own dominance instead of just relying on a draft that is, or not a draft, a pack racing that is dangerous.
And like on the entertainment thing, like NASCAR knows what they're doing. That's why they introduced stage racing. And that's why you see every single commercial for these racetracks and these races. It's cars wrecking. It's not, that's what it is. That's what they want to do. That's what brings eyeballs into the sport. So I get what they're doing, but you also got to make your drivers happy and that they want to be there and keep doing this a long time. Like
and that they don't feel like they're in a spec series, which is arguably what we might have seen Sunday at the Daytona 500.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. But Formula One, though, back to what Richie said, Formula One, when Liberty Media purchased Formula One, the racing pre-Liberty Media was awful. It was garbage. Whether it was the Michael Schumacher days or the Sebastian Vettel days, it was single file crap.
Even Lewis Hamilton's early championships. Sorry, Richard.
Exactly. No, I think everybody here is a Lewis Hamilton fan, but you're right. Some of his championships were complete domination. That doesn't punch tickets. Liberty Media was able to figure out a way to bring entertainment on track in addition to their off-track shows that have become wildly successful that other motorsports series haven't found that level of success in the reality space.
Listen, that's enough Formula One conversation.
No, stop it. I thought we were going to come in today and spend the entire 45 minutes talking about the F175 livery reveal show.
Oh, that's right. All the reveals were yesterday.
Listen, I spent all 2 hours watching that, and
Cody,
I was
cut his mic. Cody, cut
more
his mic.
entertained by that than I was the Daytona 500. Okay.
Listen, when Liberty took over, you're right. The entertainment ratcheted up a notch. They had on average 11 passes a race in Formula One. Cole, what did you say?
16,000, yeah.
Okay.
The green flag passes
fun stat
at
I found.
Daytona?
Yes, this is largely due to the fuel saving and the 3-wide racing the entire time. But since the stat started getting recorded back in 2005, the most green flag passes at Daytona ever, 16,389, I believe it was. And that was like a significant margin. Like I think the next highest was like 12,000. But it's because of the 3-wide racing, pretty much from flag to flag, which I found obviously aesthetically appealing to the eye. But when
a pass is going in front of somebody's nose.
Correct.
It's not like a full-fledged, let's take the rear of the car and get in front of the car.
Right.
You're okay.
And it was a lot of green flag racing too.
It's not just the leader passes. These are passes throughout the field of 41 cars, which is still an incredibly impressive stat.
Yeah, no,
16,000 in a matter of a couple of hours.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Did you find out what year that 12,000 was?
I have it written down in my notes.
Right.
I want to say it was like
unprepared
2012. My laptop's lying down over there somewhere. If it's not hooked up to a power cord, it dies in like 5 seconds. I do have it written down though. I do.
That's a battery sponsor we apparently need. Yeah, we need to get you a new battery.
My damn Apple.
So where do you two guys stand with Hamlin's comments? I mean,
I
where
truly
Richie
think
and I, it's about the entertainment.
right. And I agree it's with the entertainment, but I also agree we've got to get a better product. I
Or super
enjoyed
speedway racing.
for super speedway racing. I enjoyed what I watched. I really liked. I was glued to the TV most of that race, but it pissed me off at the end. I'm going to say the last 25 laps. Those last 3 wrecks are the ones that come to everybody's mind, but there's some other nuances in there of some blocking that was just stupid, Cole Custer. So I don't like it when a plan comes together, and I know plans are meant to be just shattered at times, but come on, you can't make stupid moves when other things are going on. You have to be cognizant of what's going on around you as a professional driver at this level. And some of that just went out the window. 20 laps to go is a long time. I think drivers need to be able to know, okay, this isn't the time for this. And instead of what happened. I mean, I think, any of those 3 wrecks could have been avoided.
I mean, I will always endorse competition. I don't want this sport to be a spectacle. So I side with Denny on this one. I do acknowledge the entertainment aspect of things and how the sport has evolved and how sports in general have evolved. But I will always, again, endorse competition.
Richie, you want to change your mind?
No, I'm not changing my mind at all.
Good for
Absolutely not. No, come on. Terrible job.
But you like the race, though. Not the finish, but you like the race.
I thought the race was entertaining. Yes.
I really enjoyed it.
The 3 wide racing was edge of your seat because the margins were so small. And that's what, like, if you get loose for 1 second, massive wreck. And the fact that they were able to stay 3 wide for 25 laps in a row early in the race, even though you're half throttle, I was still entertained by that. So, and and at the end of the day, it's more of like, it's the parody of it too. So we didn't know who was going to win that race until that last lap. Right. Yes, Penske dominated for the most part, but none of us were really sure that it was going to be a Penske driver. It was going to be Cindric or Logano that was going to win the race. I mean, and that's what makes things entertaining too.
Fair enough.
One of the other developments that came out of Sunday's Daytona race was Kevin Harvick, who, again, is part of the commentary for the race. And when the accident happened on the last lap, and of course, William Boring Byron grabbed the checkered for the win. Come to find out, Kevin Harvick was freaking speechless. And one of the reasons he was speechless, Richard, was?
I'm happy for William. I'm happy that everybody.
Yeah,
just set it up first. I'm sorry.
Set it up. Yeah, this is Kevin Harvick from his podcast talking about how he was pissed off basically after he left the booth on Sunday because of how things played out.
I'm happy for William. I'm happy that everybody's okay. But I'm not happy with, and we talked about this preseason. One of the things that I said and what I expected and hoped for this season was that we got some consistency in the officiating. Yep. And it couldn't have been more inconsistent. Thursday night, we
in the duel
throw the caution in the duel, a couple 100 yards beforehand. I left the booth mad. I was like, I just don't understand what I just watched. And you can say that we dispatched his truck. We dispatched the trucks on the backstretch, the safety vehicles, and you've got safety vehicles on the other side too. You could have done the same thing on the front stretch. So I'm just not buying all that BS.
Yep.
I hear what Kevin is saying, and I want your guys' opinion on this. One thing about live sports, there are gray areas, and sometimes it's just tough to get things right. You want to be consistent. I think this was a good shot for them to be consistent when to either drop the yellow or not to drop the yellow. And there wasn't much difference in what happened with the duel with Cindric winning over Eric Jones versus what transpired here. This was even a bigger blow up of a wreck. And that's what Kevin's basically saying. And props to him for putting it out there because his employer is Fox Sports, which is part and parcel of NASCAR. They pay NASCAR a crap ton of money to broadcast those races. So props to Harvick for dropping that out there. And of the 4 of us, I'm not the biggest NASCAR fan. You give me Supercross and drags, I'm jonesing all day. But over the last 25 years of SpeedFreaks, I've gravitated towards the product of NASCAR and understand the entertainment value of it. It's the 800-pound gorilla. That's why we're spending 60 minutes here talking about NASCAR right now versus the IndyCar season that's starting a week and a half away, and same for NHRA.
Well, we are coming off their Super Bowl too, and there are a lot of topics.
But getting back to my point, it just you you want them to be consistent when the opportunity there is to be consistent. There's some gray areas. I get it. There's gray areas in balls and strikes until these damn computers start coming on board. I get it. But this was freaking flagrant. And for it to happen to William Boring, his name's changed 3 times on the show, William Boring, it being a Hendrick car, the conspiracy, which, by the way, Freak Nation, we're going to get to. There's some conspiracy theories about this win, and I don't disagree with all of them. And the fact that it's a race win that, again, your name is etched in history. Nobody remembers Kansas of last year, but everybody remember Daytona 500.
Clint Boyer just took offense to that.
Sorry. So I'm with Kevin on this one, man. It's just, let's just get something that's so obvious right.
Well, Kenny, we talked about this ad nauseum in our show Sunday night, right after the race. That's probably because, okay, with the rain delay, when we went live on SpeedFreaks Sunday night, it was literally 30 minutes after we finally got the checkered flag of the Daytona 500. So a lot of our show was just kind of spitballing like, wait, did we just really see that or not? Or wait a minute.
Right.
So yeah, we were confused about that. And we had some listeners chiming in on our YouTube feed or our Facebook feed saying the same thing. Like, wait a minute. Thursday night, they threw the caution flag. They froze the field and then gave the win back to Cindric instead of Eric Jones, who Eric Jones crossed the finish line first.
Mm-hmm.
But a very similar situation that happened on Sunday, the yellow flag was not thrown. The field was not frozen. So the guy that crossed the finish line first was declared the winner, William Byron. Now, do we want to go back and see where the field was when no, we don't want to do that. It's what's done is done. His car allegedly passed tech and William Byron is the winner. Mm-hmm. But you're right. On the exact same weekend, you can't have two similar situations, nearly identical situations, and have different results coming from race control.
Yeah, I agree on the consistency side of things. I do not understand for the life of me why they threw the caution flag when they were literally feet away from the finish line in that duel. Mm-hmm. And I think a reason why they didn't, or a part of the reason why they didn't throw the caution flag in the 500 was A, because they got so much heat for that, and B, because it's the biggest race of the year. You want to see these guys raced out to the finish line. And on that, I think NASCAR should be consistent in not throwing the caution flag unless there is a car that's upside down, or if you legitimately think someone's life is in danger. Because again, you want to see these things run out to the finish. You want to see them cross the finish line first and have it actually be a race to the end. So kudos to NASCAR for not throwing the yellow flag at the end of the 500. If you're comparing the duel and the 500, it doesn't make sense because it was a much bigger and more vicious wreck than the duel. But again, I commend NASCAR for not throwing the yellow in that situation.
I have explanations, y'all. Because I know we all, as soon as it came out, we all listened to the NASCAR official podcast
Hauler Talk
about the officiating, which is called
Hauler Talk.
Is it really?
Yeah,
that's what it's called.
Mike Ford.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Why didn't they name it the Big Red Truck? Remember when guys used to get in trouble and they'd go to the Big Red Truck?
Anyway, so if you all listen to the Hauler Talk, that's what it's called.
Richie, tell me who's on Hauler Talk.
Mike Ford and Amanda Ellis.
People. It's not in the story I have pulled up. Okay. I have a quote from their guest that they had this week.
But isn't one of the dudes from NASCAR?
Nate Ryan. I don't know if he's going to be on there weekly, but he's been on the last 2 weeks as like the people's voice.
The people's voice.
Nate Ryan.
We got to get Cole on there. Cole
needs
to be
cool.
on Hauler Talk as the people's voice.
That'd be cool.
Yes.
Hold NASCAR accountable.
But hold on a
Hauler
second.
Talk
I thought Hauler Talk was the actual officials.
Yeah.
I thought this was Elton Sawyer kind of doing a lot of the work.
So did I.
Oh, okay. Slightly changed my
NASCAR comms.
perspective. NASCAR communications, which is good.
Yeah.
But
No.
yeah, I really thought this was going to be no disrespect to race control or any of the competition committee, but NASCAR communications people probably have a little bit more eloquent speaking. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And Mike and Amanda are great.
Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. When you said their names, I'm like, oh, okay.
Anyway,
I actually might listen.
Let me get to the explanation from Hauler Talk here. This is about the duel finish. This is their explanation for throwing the caution during the duel. In our past reviews, we've obviously seen a lot of big hits in that area coming to the checkered flag. Said Jusan Hamilton, NASCAR Managing Director of Competition Operations. Generally, when you have several vehicles making a heavy impact just before you get to the start-finish line in the tri-oval, we've seen bad things happen in the past. So with several of those heavy wall hits that did take place right around the entrance to pit road, the determination in the moment was to put the caution out, allow us to be able to respond quickly and get the vehicles that were all spread out coming off a turn 4 the opportunity to roll out of it and not plow in and make the situation worse. So that was a bunch of gobbledygook explaining that doesn't make sense. I don't know. Anyway,
I don't think that cleared anything up, really.
It didn't. And it gets worse because here's the explanation for Sunday. Sunday, for example, that's right after an overtime restart, Hamilton said. It's not often that right after a restart, you have a lot of vehicles laying back or stragglers getting caught up. So when you have that wreck take place, the field is entirely condensed. When they get into turn 3, they have a wreck. And as soon as the wreck happens, because all vehicles have passed by the turn 2 cutout where safety vehicles are, we're able to respond. So we're already sending the fire truck, ambulances, and the AMR chase vehicles to respond to that incident before the leaders even made it to the checkered, even though there's no caution. So we're already responding to it because all the vehicles are passed.
What the hell just happened?
I don't know.
That was 60 seconds wasted in my life right there, Richie.
Hey, if anything, we speed facts on this show. All right.
So they passed the point where the safety crews come out, which is also past the turn 2 entry wall, exit wall. Okay, fine. It's still, that doesn't resonate with fans though. That's a safety issue. And I love that. But the fans are still holding their hands up going, it doesn't make sense. It's either a yellow after a crash or not a yellow after a crash.
I think we've worn that freaking topic out.
Yeah,
We're only 3 days after Daytona.
Yeah.
I just want to say our piece.
There's much more to come too on that. Guarantee it.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Oh,
Yep. Especially with Atlanta this weekend.
That's a given.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
You just want to see evolution of decisions in any sport. I mean, you being host of
The money stop.
the Money Stop. Well, I don't want to say money spot.
I thought he was going to say money grab.
Yeah, well, that too. And keep an eye on this. I'm curious how Vegas will start to react to instances like this, or if they do react. Some of the heavies there, when some of these decisions with these finishes are determined by bullshit flags. Have you seen anything yet?
I haven't seen anything that's affected the race winner odds or anything. So I don't think it will impact anything going forward.
Right.
Only because that's like a very tight window. I mean, it's like the final lap pretty much where they're making these decisions or coming down to it.
Just
so
the outcome. Sure.
Yeah. So it's like they'll have like live race winner bets that you can make, but that's so close to the finish, they're not going to do that.
Right.
So
Would it be great last lap bets?
Imagine. That'd be fun for Daytona and Talladega.
That
and,
would.
Atlanta, but
Yeah, you've got what? 35, 40 seconds to place a.
Yeah.
What do they make? What's the lap time around there? What is it?
Is the lap time
Like
around
50
there?
seconds?
103.
Yeah.
So 60.
Yeah.
Is it 50s or 60s?
That would be
50s.
bananas, man. Like pop.
quick reaction bet.
They do
Go.
in the NFL. You can bet like play by
That's
play
final drive,
by
next
play.
play.
Yeah.
So it's coming.
Okay,
MLB
come
next
It's
on.
pitch.
freaking coming.
And you could do it at Atlanta too.
Yeah.
There's so many
Yeah.
tracks you could do that last lap bet at.
It's coming.
Okay, but a little inside baseball here, but NHRA and Supercross so far are the only series that make us go through a betting course in order to get our hard cards. NASCAR doesn't make us go through that.
Yeah, true.
So NASCAR would have to make some changes if they were going to allow some betting of that sort.
It's funny because I don't really see that much like for gambling on the NHRA and Supercross side, but NASCAR's been doing it for a while now. And now
Exactly.
it's legalized in North Carolina, so you'd think they do something
Yeah.
in that regard. But
Yeah. NHRA and Supercross, you cannot get your hard card unless you go through a complete betting course, a course of how not to cheat the system because you are an insider. And IndyCar and NASCAR do not require that.
Yeah.
It's more money for NASCAR because they have all those betting sponsorships that they have.
Yeah.
Like how many DraftKings ads did we watch on Sunday?
mm-hmm.
Every break,
True.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Harvick and Clinton Boyer in the booth. Hey boys, we got you the Fox Super 6 out there. Get on
How's
the Fox
that?
Super 6, place your bets. That's my Clinton Boyer
Wow.
impression.
That was pretty good.
Like Clint
He's
Boyer.
got to cut Kenny off now when he's talking. If you want to be like Clint Boyer.
That's so true.
do we want to talk controversy?
It doesn't matter. I mean,
Are we just done with it? William Boring got the win.
Nothing's going to
Daytona.
happen. You're right.
Right.
So why dig up conspiracy theories when, you know what? Doesn't matter. Maybe they're true. Maybe
Because
they're not.
I will say this, Freak Nation. I will say this. I've witnessed my share of controversies following race wins. And one in particular, I think it was 2000 California Speedway. Jeremy Mayfield wins in the number 12 Penske freaking Pontiac, whatever the hell he was driving at the time. And as soon as Mayfield got that win, he got on top of the car and started jumping on it.
Yep.
Pay attention to what these dudes do. William Boring. It's boring, not boring. William Boring. What these guys do after they win a race. There's a conspiracy out there that he tagged the wall regarding a possible issue that the officials may have with his car.
To hide the evidence.
And Crasher, there's something that was brought up regarding the stickers.
Yeah, I can't quite put two and two together on that, though, and I'm not technically sound enough to really know what happened there. But there were some people complaining that all the Hendrick left front, basically the left front fenders look different than some of the others. Well, coincidentally, William Byron swerved his car around and tagged the left front. So you kind of put two and two together. Is this really a conspiracy theory? I don't know.
But they're out there, and just pay attention to your race winners from time to time, and just, well, that was odd. Why in the hell was Jeremy Mayfield jumping on his hood for about 30 seconds trying to?
And wasn't it 8 or so years ago when Jimmy Johnson was told to wreck by Chad Knaus?
Yep.
Well, the famous one is Martin Truex, Michael Waltrip.
Oh God,
right.
That was abysmal. That was when
sloppy.
When Truex was running for. Freak Nation knows my opinion on Waltrip, and I'll just reserve my opinion on Michael Waltrip.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Jet fuel.
Yeah.
How many years ago was that?
No, listen. So yeah, and we just spent 20 minutes with Joe Gibbs last week, and one of the best interviews that I've ever seen of him.
Incredible.
Here in the Freak Nation. And I wasn't shy, and I'm still not shy of hammering Joe Gibbs when his team cheats. They're popped. He's a very religious person, he and his family. And I guess I just hold certain people that really put their spiritual and religious beliefs out there, that if you're going to walk the walk, then or talk the talk. Just walk the talk and talk the walk, damn it.
Act like what you're spewing.
Practice what you preach.
Practice what Joe preach. There it is, Cole.
And what Cole's saying, if you ain't cheating,
you ain't trying.
Yeah.
That's Penske.
Everybody does it in every form of motorsports. Just some of them do it better than others.
Sports in general. Everything.
Yeah.
Deflategate.
Yeah.
Hey,
Tom Brady.
Should Dale Jr. go cup racing? I know Richie soiled his pants when he heard about this.
Post-race interview, right?
Yes, and his post-race interview on the Dale Jr. download this week too. But here's full disclosure: Cole and I are both Dale Jr. snorkelers and have been as long as our NASCAR fandom.
Richie, we were in his book, SpeedFreaks.
Oh,
I mean,
Lordy.
we're the biggest fans of Dale.
Yeah.
So don't freaking hog Dale over there.
Well, you just said that
a picture over here autographed by Dale and Dale Sr.
You just said that I soiled myself when he made the Daytona 500.
Did you guys hold hands? Just go up. Well, let's go soil.
This right here is why he should go cup racing and why they would be smart to go cup racing, because everybody loves Dale Jr. The sport is better when Dale Jr. is involved. We saw it firsthand being there in person. All the media flocked towards that 40 car and Dale Jr. the entire weekend. Didn't matter about the other 35 guys running full time. The story is always about Dale Jr. And like I said, whenever he's around the sport or involved, people want to watch that. Your most popular driver is not even racing right now. Top 3 in merchandise sales last year, right? They would be stupid not to. I get the reasons why they're not doing it. I listened to Dale's podcast yesterday a little bit about potentially going full-time cup racing. It's the charter system. It's $40 million for a charter. He said if it was 15 million, 20 million, then they could talk. But I think the sport's better when Dale Jr. is involved. It's a simple fact. And should they go cup racing, I think they will full time at some point, sooner rather than later, after how this weekend went with that top 10 finish. It's going to be huge from a merchandising perspective, business, everything. And just speaking on the business side of things, I think Kelly is a genius. She's done wonders for JR Ram in the sport. So once they do go cup racing, they're going to get sponsorships. That's a guarantee. Like, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Anecdote.
So we're going to go snorkel?
Yeah. Yeah,
We're all
absolutely.
snorkeling, right?
Anecdote. If you go to LionelRacing.com right now and you try and buy a Justin Allgaier number 40 diecast
From Daytona. Okay, yeah.
yes, completely sold out. Cannot get
for him.
one on the Lionel Racing website. We are talking about Justin Allgaier, who is the Xfinity Series champion. Yes, we're not, but that's just having Dale Jr.'s name on the car.
Yeah.
And it's completely sold out, and you can't get it.
Because usually Lionel Racing will do the race winning car from each race.
Yeah.
And those sell out almost every time. But wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And one of our most popular posts on Facebook is literally just a picture of Justin Allgaier standing by his car on pit lane after he made the race in the Daytona 500. So I'm sure that the people, the head powers that be, whoever they may be in NASCAR now, are probably knocking on Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s door and saying, please come race with us on Sundays. Please.
No. What they're saying is, hey, I know the charters are 40 million. We'll give you 20 million. If you can do the rest, we got you, buddy.
It's not, it's gone down a little bit. The last reported charter sold for about 20 to 25 million.
Oh, baby. We're in talks now.
Yes. They're depending on the outcome of the court case.
Oh, true.
They might go away completely.
Which would be a huge win.
Yes.
All right, guys, you ready for some reality?
Oh boy, what?
When Dale left the sport, it was the greatest move for the sport. Dale has meant more to NASCAR.
Dale Jr.
Dale,
I know,
Dale freaking Jarrett.
No.
Dale Jr. every freaking time?
Here we are talking. Yes, you do, because here we are talking about
Junior.
The Earnhardt name, and we are in the week of the anniversary of Dale Earnhardt Sr. leaving. So when you say Dale left the sport, it's like, hold on a second. There's some people that are going to think a little differently of that.
Fair enough.
When Dale Jr. left the sport, left NASCAR Cup Series, a championship he never won and never got inches away from it either. Statman said it all when he said that he was the one who said this originally. Dale Jr. will mean more to NASCAR outside the car than he ever did inside the car. And my God, has it been that.
Yep.
And I believe, and it's my snorkeling of Dale Jr., I believe it would not be a good move for him to get into full-time cup racing.
Really?
For a number of reasons. One is, even Dale Jr., people can turn on people. And people can turn on Dale Jr. And if Dale Jr. and Justin Allgaier, their driver, is sucking hind boob, I remember when Dale just was not competitive in a race car, and that was uncomfortable listening to people talk about that. And I know Kelly's involved in this now. I know Dale's not getting back in the car, but he's talking about going full-time cup racing. I've seen the relationship between him and his wife and his children evolve to where he's about it with these kids. And if he gets going in cup, there's a crap ton of time that he's going to be spending away from his family. I'm not saying I think he should do this or do that. I'm saying I don't think he's going to anytime soon. I think once the Daytona settles, let's talk in August. Let's see how he's doing then.
Valid.
But I think where he is mentally right. Listen, when his kids start popping off to college, that might be a different animal. But right now with Dale Jr., who we haven't seen on the Amazon broadcast. When does that happen? Is it Amazon? It's Amazon, right?
Yeah,
summer.
In summer. Who knows what's going to happen when he pops on with that? I just think Dale is so much better when he's not that heavy, when he's not involved in NASCAR from day-to-day operations.
I was telling Cody days ago, like, the reason Dale Jr. is a Hall of Famer is not because of his on-track stuff. It's because of what he's done for the sport and what he continues to do. So you're dead on there.
Right.
Absolutely.
Fact. And I'm not saying this for you guys to agree. That's just my opinion as a father of an 11-year-old every decision I make outside of, I need to go take a dump. Every decision I make
TMI.
that not really is based on that 11-year-old.
Yep.
It is. I'm at a, now, if I was 35, if I was 30, I'd still make some selfish decisions for myself. But frankly, I don't give a shit right now. It's about me and that 11-year-old and the decisions I make. And whether it's sacrificing, whether it's putting down my phone or the computer when I'm editing the show open just to spend 30 minutes to go pick her up from school, to come back home and ask her how her day went. I'll never, I will never get that back if I lose it, which is where I'm coming from with Dale. And his girls are right at that age where spending time at the shop or spending time out in a boat or in a car or four-wheeler with your children, it's not, Dale, don't listen to the fans. Listen to your heart, listen to your wife, listen to your kids, because ultimately that's it. That's all we got. You have millions and millions of fans that really would like to get involved in the Cup Series full time. But brother, from experience, a guy that's I might be 15 years older than him right now.
Yes.
Maybe. Don't do it, man. Don't freaking do it. Spend that money and that time that you have left on this planet to be with your family. So my opinion is coming from really a deeper place than you freaking snorkelers over there.
But you're also saying that knowing that he does a ton in the sport already. Yeah. It's like what you do now is incredible. You don't need to do anything else.
Right. And NASCAR knows that.
Right.
My God.
That's true. Yep.
And he hasn't been on a broadcast for a year and 3 months or maybe a year and a half?
It's been at least a year.
His podcast. I mean, that's a time suck. Yes. No, I know what you mean.
He wasn't with NBC at all last year.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, took a year off.
Yep.
So it's a year and a half off, but he's still, my gosh, what he means to this, and it's baffling. You know, it is absolutely baffling of how important he is to NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let me ruin the movie with me balling on camera.
Well put, man.
You talk about my 11-year-old.
Yeah, family first, man. Family first, without question.
So, do you put a timeline on it, Cole? Do you think there's a?
I think you're onto something there. I mean, obviously, I like to see what's best for the sport. I think Dale Jr. being in the sport full time would be great for the sport from a marketing perspective,
even if he's a
viewership.
Even if he's a back marker.
I don't think that'd be the case. And I could be wrong. Again, you don't know who's going to be full time. You don't know who's going to be in that car. But like,
he was a back marker for Hendrick.
You got to assume they'd be racing Hendrick engines. They've got a ton of talent in that system.
Right.
I mean, you look up and down the field right now. It's like I feel like half the drivers in the field are JRM products. So it's like I don't think that'd be the case. I could be wrong, but I think either way, Dale Jr. is going to bring guys to the sport, even when he was not at the top of his game at HMS, driving that 88 car from whatever it was. When he was there from 09 and like the 2012-ish days, he was still selling merchandise. Sure. People are watching because of him. He's going to bring guys no matter what. And I think the sport's better when Dale Jr. Regardless.
I'm gonna make a prediction, and people have speculated this, so I'm not the first one to say this, but I don't think he takes Junior Motorsports and buys a charter on his own.
Mm-hmm.
I think the infrastructure is already there with a couple different teams that are already on the grid where he can basically become a part owner. And we've already seen that.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Johnson did it. Jimmy Johnson, for goodness sakes.
Woo, that's a good point.
Jimmy Johnson.
Like teaming up with a colleague or something?
Yeah, he can team up with Chris Rice. Yeah, he can team up with Chris Rice at colleague. Mm-hmm. Or I think the perfect marriage is him and Justin Marks with Trackhouse.
Yeah.
I think
that'd be massive.
I think that's the move that Dale Jr. is going to make. So it's I don't know if it's going to be a new team or et cetera or what, but Connor Zilic is in the Junior Motorsports program this year.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to go on to Cup race probably, I'm assuming, next year and replace Daniel Suarez. But I think that's the move, is he's going to team up with somebody in some way, shape, or form to just be a part of an ownership group in the Cup Series.
Point.
And then you've got the executives laid out there. You've got the decision makers already there, thriving in their job. You don't have to put that together.
Maybe he's the one that bought out Pitbull. That's why he's
Oh,
Yeah.
It's not
there's
actually,
a
not
conspiracy
actually,
theory.
but imagine.
And Dale, as hillbilly as he has been over the years, has always been on the cutting edge of music, lifestyle, entertainment. When Dale came into the series and was dropping names like Nelly and that genre, and he still had Ricky Rudd and Dale Jarrett. It was such an interesting time for NASCAR when Dale came in and he started bringing what Dirty Mo Posse and wasn't that what it was? Dirty.
Well, wasn't he the first NASCAR driver to ever be on MTV Cribs?
Oh yeah,
And then
yeah, that's right.
and then just blew things up.
Even recently, J. Cole World. They had like a interview they did together, like in the later stages of his career, his racing career. So
my point was, if he is going to team up, Trackhouse is the team
That would
because
be awesome.
they're the most visually cutting edge from an entertainment standpoint on the grid.
Yes, and Justin Marks is really smart, and he's already expanded Trackhouse from just a NASCAR team.
Yeah.
He's already moving into super bikes, I believe, and expanding that brand just outside of stock cars. And so I would love to see him in IndyCar too. I wonder if that happens at some point down
It's
the road.
in the works.
It's in the works. Yeah. Yep. So I think that's the move for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Dale, if you're listening, there you go. There's some free advice for you.
Well, you just buried the lead.
No, I didn't bury the lead. IndyCar, first of all, we need to see what Honda's going to do in IndyCar. And is IndyCar going to bring in a third manufacturer? If that happens, then Trackside's interest will start to
Trackside, Trackhouse.
Trackhouse, that too.
Mhm.
Trackhouse's interest will start
Listen,
to go.
hey, I found it. Here's the thing. IndyCar.com, January 7th, 2025. Trackhouse owner Marks eyes future Indy 500 entry.
boom, boom.
There you go.
But for a team to be full time, a handful of pretty significant owners are on the outside looking in as far as what's going to happen with Honda. Are you going to be a spec series with Chevy, or are you going to bring is Honda going to survive, and is a third one going to come in? So come on, IndyCar. We need those
But
answers.
when Dodge comes into NASCAR
right,
in 2027,
or is that where Honda's going?
do I really want to get things fired up right now? I think we'll save that for next.
Let's
Pumped
save
for
it.
Dodge to come
Let's
back. By the
save
way,
it.
that's an awesome story.
What's that?
If it's true, I'm pumped for Dodge to come back. Need some more American horsepower in the garage.
3 years ago, according to
I was going to say, was it pre or post COVID? It was post COVID when you had that conversation with a bunch of minds.
when did I go on the Hot Rod Power Tour? Henley, go ahead. Mom,
Yeah,
look
go
out the window. Who is that?
I can't see. No.
Okay.
We're
Some
live. You know
correctness.
what? We don't answer the door for strangers. You have to text us if
That's
you're
right,
on
stranger
your way.
danger.
Stranger danger.
There you go.
But it was.
It's
Don't
okay.
worry, Henley. It was a couple of years
Don't
ago.
It
Don't
was,
worry, Henley. Don't worry.
it was
Henley.
on the Hot Rod Power Tour, right?
Yes,
Isn't
it
that what
was the Hot Rod Power.
And
Tour.
I'm there with some. This is when I learned that this blew me away. When I learned that Bobby Labonte came into Indianapolis and ran the simulator of Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
IndyCar simulator. No.
The Cup
Okay.
NASCAR simulator
Oh,
for Paul Menard. Follow me? Where Bobby Labonte ran that and then reported back to Paul Menard. These are the intricacies of. I didn't realize.
is this before Paul Menard won the Brickyard 400? Yeah. What's your timestamp here?
When did he win the 500 or the
400.
So that was also part of the conversation where
Okay.
it's like, come on, Paul, you're too damn lazy. Go in there, run the sim yourself. But no, he also was saying that, yeah, Dodge is eyeballing
Return.
yeah, and even bigger than a return.
Oh,
Yeah,
a major player in NASCAR financially.
you see no Dodge in drag racing outside of Tony Stewart.
Right. And technically,
And
that
that's
is
Mopar.
Mopar. Yeah. That is not a Dodge brand. It is a Mopar brand. Right. You
God,
see
a couple other things that came from that conversation.
Mopar
too.
in midgets and sprints, but that's it.
Right.
Yeah. We know that there was a run at them with Beth Peretta, I believe. That should sound familiar with Peretta Autosport. She was big in trying to get them in some, whether it was Fiat or Chrysler, back into IndyCar. That didn't work. So yeah, is this going to be their last or one of their last chances to get back into motorsports in a big way and full time? I'd like to see it. Like
a couple of things before we get the hell out of here. Who put this up there about NASCAR for sale?
I did. Yeah, I put that in there. This is straight from the mouth of Steve Phelps.
Yep.
That this might happen. I'll have to pull up the quote here.
Last week, was it?
It was in a Sports Business Journal interview that the possibility exists that the France family is open to new investment, to selling. And I have a feeling that this is, I mean, Statman alluded to this all the time in the last couple of years of the show, that this private equity coming into NASCAR is the future. Joe Gibbs did it, right? Joe Gibbs Racing had private equity come in and fund his team a little bit. It happened with Legacy Motor Club, and they
I believe
they got some private equity to come in. Same thing with RFK. And so the big rumor here is that you're going to get something like a private investment from Saudi Arabia, et cetera, to come in with their big ass money and invest in the sport. Similar to what they did in WWE, in golf. They entirely fund live. And that's seemingly where this is going, is they're going to get some private equity infused into NASCAR. And it's finally going to be outside the hands of the France family.
At least partially,
which would be probably well, I don't want to say a good thing depending on who does it, but
be careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah, be careful what you wish for. The private ownership of NASCAR is not good for the sport at this moment in time.
Right.
IndyCar, are you picking up on what he's saying? Yeah, just checking.
Atlanta coming up on Sunday. What do we call that? The
Better Health 400. New Atlanta or Infant Atlanta?
Toddler Atlanta. It's a 3-year-old. 3-year-olds are toddlers. So Toddlanta.
Which, by the way, you'll get lengthy betting advice coming up on Friday when you and your brother Colson team up for the Money Stop.
Cusimano Bros bringing the Money Stop to Speed Freaks.
Right.
Week 2 should be a great show lined up. Another weekend to make a lot of profit off of some drafting track racing, because as we know, there's a lot of unknowns with that. But the reason why I like giving advice for Atlanta and having people bet on that race is because, yes, it is unpredictable. It's super speedway type racing, but there's more that's in control for the drivers. Handling comes into play. You can kind of have more stats to go based off of. And it's still same payout, basically. Last week, Ryan Blaney was the favorite going in, plus 1,200 for the race win. He's the favorite again this week going in, plus 1,000. So that's
what you're telling me is I need to bet on Austin Hill to win the Xfinity race.
Bet the house on Austin Hill for the Xfinity race. Going for number 5, right? A full hand.
Mm-hmm.
And even he said
he's plus 300, by the way.
Disappointing post-race interview after going out of the race in the Xfinity Series Saturday night. Even he said, we've got a rocket for this season. See you in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah. He's automatic Austin.
Okay. Automatic Austin.
And you can say the same thing about Cindric. I think Cindric's, he's establishing himself as a insane speedway racer. More to come on that, though.
Like I said,
little tease there.
Cindric shot his wad. He's done. So let's check with him in May.
Man.
Says the St. Louis winner from a couple of years ago. Come on.
NASCAR Insights. Second most laps led on drafting tracks in the next gen. Austin Cindric.
Austin
Cindric. What did Cindric do first half of last year?
What, talking about
first
crap in the bed?
Races?
Crap in the bed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Listen.
He's going to be crap in the bed until summertime.
I hope he proves you wrong.
Even if he's
I do too. Listen, I like Austin.
I love Austin
Listen,
Cindric.
Austin Cindric's got more personality in his kneecap than William Boring. So I would have no problem Cindric taking out William Boring on that last lap just so he could satisfy me and make sure we don't need to have another week of praising the great iRacing capabilities of William Boring.
Jeez.
I bet William's PR person's going to be
William Byron. That might have been William Byron coming to beat you up or something.
Yes.
Gotcha. You interviewed William Boring last year.
And you know what? Can we pull back the curtain a little bit?
Yeah.
I had to do that after Kenny called him out on our show the Sunday night prior to Martinsville. Then here I am in front of William with a microphone going, I'm sorry for what my husband / co-host said to you.
Look, Kenny Wallace and I tag teamed with William
did.
Boring because Kenny Wallace, rightly so, said William Byron is a fantastic driver, but why is he not more popular? And he had an explanation of why, and then I just climbed on board, and there we go. and
then you throw Crash out to the wolves.
I was called out by his PR person at the time. And
you were, dang.
I'm just listen, it's out there. So
it was on Twitter.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything that's not out there. I said, well, we'd love to get him in the Freak Nation, but I cannot get a return phone call or email from the PR person.
Oof. I mean, I don't think it's isolated incident.
Then I get a returned email saying, Kenny, I would appreciate a heads up. Well, just return my freaking call.
I think it's just like a new generation thing for these younger drivers. Because like Chase Elliott, same thing. All these younger guys that they're just properly media trained. They're not going to go out there and drop F-bombs like Dale Jr. and those guys did back in the day. So it's like I just think it's a new. That's
total crap. I spent an hour and a half watching Carson Hocevar race on Twitch during the rain delay.
That's fair enough.
And that was more entertaining than anything that's ever come out of the mouth of William Byron. He was hilarious to watch.
He's one of very few, though. There's not many guys with a lot of personality that are like young in the garage. You know what I'm saying?
Cindric,
yeah.
I think you can put Cindric in there. Very dry sense of humor, but I find him funny.
He is funny. Is Kyle Larson not young anymore?
But Kyle Larson will say anything. I mean, he's not going to go, "What's up, mother effers?" But he's going to say, "That racetrack just blew,"
right?
Or,
and I am better than
I think
Max
that was a
Verstappen.
crappy race. Or, so and so shouldn't have done that. He won't do it with a bunch of pomp and circumstance, but that's one of the attractions for me to Kyle. The bromance that I have is the fact that he'll just say anything. When you're that freaking good to have the ability just to drop bombs out there without repercussions, please. So, but to your point, it's not the F-bomb that we're used to, which you can call me old or so forth. I just need to be entertained. Oh, William. I'm sorry, man.
Hey, he showed up at Monday Night Raw WWE this week.
Yeah, and the 24. That's pretty cool.
That actually was pretty cool.
You know what was so great about that is my sister was watching the show Sunday night. She texted me Monday morning saying, Kenny, just a heads up, William Byron's going to be on live with Kelly and Mark. We'll be watching to see how excited he is. And what did she say on the text?
She said, actually, it was a lot of tech talk, but I found it interesting.
Yeah.
William Boring. Hopefully he doesn't win again this week.
Like that. No, please.
I don't think you're boring, William, if you're watching. Don't hate me.
Cole's like,
wow.
Not me. Well, he knows what it's like to be thrown to the wolves. I mean, come on. I'm sitting there going, I'm doing this interview because my husband, co-host, boss.
That's your initiation. By the way, when you head to Phoenix, I got a one-on-one setup with you, Cole, with William Boring. That's what we ought to do. We ought to start placing bets because we had some pretty gnarly bets on the midday show, Richie.
Oh God,
we ought to have
don't remind me.
Like where if you lose a certain bet, that yes, you've got to go interview William Byron, and first question you ask is, William, why are you so boring?
Oh gosh, catch me never doing that.
Okay, honestly though,
right.
We did on the Daily Show. This was maybe 5-6 years ago. We had a bet. Something I think it was around Valentine's Day, in which whoever lost the bet, then the very first interview that we had after they lost the bet, that interviewer came on, and without them knowing anything whatsoever, no prepping, no nothing, the loser of the bet had to say, Dale Earnhardt Jr., I really love you. Mm-hmm. But let me get to the point. So like you had to tell
me. I lost.
Okay, so who was it you had to tell?
It was the first time we had, what's his name on from
Oh, it was Alper, Josh Alper.
Josh
from
Alper
Pro Football
with
Talk.
Pro
Yeah.
Football Talk.
Yeah.
Josh had never been on the show. It's his first
my
time on the
God.
show. Are you sure it was Valentine's Day?
I don't
No,
know,
I
but I
think
know
what-
it was an I love you.
Because I think the bet was with Bo's Commanders and my Cowboys.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys
Okay,
lost.
so it wouldn't
and,
be Valentine's. Yeah.
And Josh comes on the show. And again, imagine he's never been on the Freaks before. And he comes on and I say, Josh, I love you. It was like, okay, we just met. It's so good.
It was so uncomfortable.
And then there was a
But
bet
so
with Richie that he still hadn't paid where he lost. He's got to wear a Chicago Blackhawks thong.
Oof.
There is video
Sorry, buddy.
out there of Richie wearing.
The statute of limitations on that bet has passed
Are you sure?
because that particular team that lost that particular match, it doesn't exist anymore. So the statute of limitations is over.
Ooh.
Talking about the old Yotes.
Let's go Rangers. That's my plug.
All right.
If we're talking hockey.
Oh, damn. See,
No.
that's
There's your
Texas
hockey talk.
Rangers fan.
Hockey and Formula One,
What?
both in the show. How do you feel now?
I feel like we need to end the show on an awesome 2.5 minutes with Kyle Busch. When Kyle Busch was part of the media scrum for the Daytona 500, I waited until all the scribes got their pertinent questions out of the way and then jumped in there with Kyle and got some questions answered. However, just before I jumped in, I remember who it was that asked the question of Kyle Busch about if you had a celebrity, was it celebrity?
Yeah.
Crew chief? Or
A
celebrity?
celebrity working on the team, what would their role be and who would it be?
Yeah. Kyle kicked it off with that, and then I was able to get in with some questions in regards to off-season with the kids, getting his ass beat down by Brexton and Samantha. But here's a good 2.5 minutes with Kyle Busch.
You could have a celebrity spotter for a race. Who would it be?
Peyton Manning.
Why?
He is probably one of the best game callers ever. So, he would be able to maybe look at certain situations and be able to kind of pick up on things where other celebrity might not be able to. And I would kind of enjoy, his voice in your head.
Christopher Bell said Tom Brady.
Tom's not far behind. I think Peyton had better games in which he made a lot more calls himself over his coaching staff, where I feel like Tom relied on a lot of his coaching staff, but obviously you have to have instinct, and he definitely doesn't lack in that. Yeah, I mean, anytime you're able to add new people, you hope to strengthen your organization. So with some of the new guys that are there, we're looking at the things that they know and what they've done and what they've been accustomed to and trying to add that into what we felt like we were good with. There were tracks that we excelled at where it's like, okay, this is why we excelled here. There were tracks that they excelled at from their organizations that we're able to kind of look at and be like, okay, maybe that's why they excelled at those places. So hopefully that strengthens us and just brings us further up. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say the offseason has any success rate on what you're going to do right now and how you're going to race. Yeah, okay. It's just all about working with the people and having those better people that I just mentioned before, being at RCR and we certainly don't lack under the hood with ECR and Lucas Oil and having the proper parts and pieces with that. It's just about having some better setups for Sundays and being able to chase the track conditions that are ever changing and being able to be better set up for those. So, mentally though, of just having fun and kind of giving back to the local short tracks with Brexton and what he's doing and having some fun with all of that has been nice. He just won his third race in a row this week out in a couple hours away. So it's nice to just be a part of those programs as much as I can be and watch from afar when I need to. Sure. Yes, no problem. I get plenty of that. Anytime I come off the racetrack, he's going to ask me, well, why didn't you try this? Or how come you didn't do that? Or, man, this was a really good pit stop and, whatever might happen. So, he's always right there. He's paying good, close attention. Yeah. It's all about taking it in and processing it. Sometimes my answers aren't real quick. I got to think about it and figure out how I can relay the message either A, to the wife, or B, to a 10-year-old.
Kyle Busch here in the Freak Nation, flying those Lucas Oil colors, Freak Nation. Again, before we get out of here, Cole Cusimano, you have a little bit of breaking news in NASCAR?
Well, it broke about a half an hour ago, but massive penalty to your Daytona 500 pole sitter, Chase Briscoe. Modifications to the spoiler, docked 100 points, 10 playoff points, and crew chief James Small suspended 4 races. Team also fined $100K.
What did I say?
Joe
about-
Gibbs Racing is cheater.
Ooh!
Oh,
Wow.
no.
Wow. Did we manifest that? Is that a thing?
Because if you said that came out 30 minutes ago, it
Yeah.
was about 45 minutes ago where I was talking about Joe Gibbs and
Wow.
cheating.
That's wild. 100 points, 10 playoff
It
points.
it was Jesus. Jesus did it.
Oh, no.
He gets us. He gets them.
Oh, hey.
He gets them.
Hey-o.
On that note,
So,
We
on
need
that
to go
note,
to
real quick,
church.
Cole, his crew chief suspended 4 races?
4 races, yeah. So through Phoenix, at least. Phoenix, Vegas. So that there's, yeah. Because there's Coda, or I'm sorry, Atlanta, Phoenix, Vegas. Yeah.
Right.
Atlanta, Coda,
Atlanta-
Phoenix, Vegas.
Atlanta- it's
sorry.
Atlanta,
So through
Vegas,
Vegas.
through Vegas.
Atlanta,
yeah,
Vegas,
yeah.
Phoenix, Coda, right?
No,
No, so Coda's next week.
Coda comes right
Atlanta,
back to back
Coda,
with
Phoenix,
Atlanta.
Vegas. They
Got it.
yeah, they flipped it up.
And again, share with the Freak Nation what those numbers are again. What was he penalized for?
I'm sorry?
What was
Oh, spoiler modification. Yeah. So 100 points, 10 playoff points, 100K to the team, and James Small 4 races.
there you go, Freak Nation.
Woo.
Part of the benefits of going live on YouTube. This is the first installment of Horsepower Hump Day. We'll do it again next Wednesday, Freak Nation, we think. Thank you guys for hanging out and being a part of this thing. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, of course, here on YouTube, and the website, speedfreaks.tv. SpeedFreaks every Sunday night, 7 Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, the Freak Radio Network, Facebook, and Instagram. And Fridays, the Money Stop drops on YouTube, SpeedFreaks YouTube page with the Cusimano brothers, the Mafia.
Money Stop Mafia, baby.
Hey.
That's right. Every Friday, Speed Freaks YouTube channel, as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Maybe that's the drill, man. The freaking actual mafia was knocking at the door going, is the
Could be.
Cusimano in there?
Why do you think we live in Arizona now?
Right.
Awesome. Where you at?
Right.
Awesome.
All right, guys. We'll do it again next week. But more importantly, Money Stop on Friday and Speed Freaks on Sunday. See ya.